I came home early that evening, exhausted from work but looking forward to seeing my wife. Laura had always been the heart of our home, cheerful even after long days, and I wanted to surprise her with dinner ready and the kids playing quietly. The house, however, was eerily silent. My heart skipped a beat when I noticed the front door slightly ajar, strange, since Laura was usually the first to lock it behind her. I stepped inside and called out, "Laura! Kids?" No answer. A faint laugh drifted from the living room, soft, intimate. I froze. Something felt wrong. My gut tightened, and a cold knot formed in my stomach. I walked toward the sound, each step heavier than the last until I saw it. My wife on the couch, completely entwined with a man I barely knew, a colleague she'd mentioned only in passing. The sight hit me like a physical blow. For a moment I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Time seemed to freeze as I processed what I was seeing. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was tangible, happening in the very home we had built together, the home I thought was safe. My mind raced. How long had this been going on? How could she do this in our living room, where our children often played? When they finally noticed me, panic and guilt flashed across their faces. Laura scrambled to cover herself, her eyes wide with fear and shame. The man tried to explain, stammering, but I couldn't hear him. My blood boiled, but I knew this wasn't the moment for uncontrolled rage. I needed a plan, a way to ensure she felt the consequences of her betrayal immediately and fully. I grabbed my phone and snapped pictures, documenting everything. Then I calmly instructed them to get dressed. My voice was steady, cold. "You have exactly 10 minutes to leave this house," I said. "No arguments. No excuses. I want both of you out, and I don't care what you think of it." They hesitated, but the severity in my tone left no room for negotiation. They fled, muttering apologies that sounded hollow and meaningless. As the door slammed behind them, I felt a surge of relief mixed with rage. I had taken the first step, reclaiming control in a situation that could have spiraled into chaos. I didn't wait. That night, I drafted divorce papers and contacted a lawyer I trusted. I documented every detail of Laura's affair, the messages I discovered on her phone, the timestamps, and the incriminating photos. My goal wasn't just to punish her emotionally, but to protect myself and ensure that she couldn't escape accountability. The next day, I called her parents and told them the truth. They were shocked but grateful for my honesty. I arranged a meeting with Laura in a neutral place to deliver the divorce papers. When she arrived, her face was pale, her eyes wide with fear. She tried to explain, to plead, but I remained calm. "I saw everything," I said quietly. "The affair, the lies, the betrayal. This ends today," she begged, crying, promising to change, to make things right. But there was no coming back from this. Trust, once broken so profoundly, cannot simply be repaired with words. I handed her the documents, letting the weight of my decision sink in. She stared at me, speechless, as I walked away. That was my revenge. Not a yell, not violence, but the undeniable finality of my actions. The following weeks were a blur of legal proceedings and emotional recalibration. I focused on protecting my children, ensuring that their routines remained stable despite the upheaval. I wanted them to know that while betrayal exists in the world, strength and integrity are more powerful than deceit. Laura's visits were restricted, supervised, and heavily monitored. Every attempt she made to manipulate the situation or contact me outside the legal framework was blocked. Through it all, I remained calm. Revenge, I realized, is most devastating when it comes quietly, when it is absolute. Laura had thought she could manipulate me, hide her actions, and continue life as normal. But by taking swift, decisive action, I ensured that she faced the consequences of her choices fully and without mercy. She lost the home, the comfort of our family life, and her influence over me and our children. Months passed, and the pain gradually softened into clarity. I rebuilt my life around stability, honesty, and my children's well-being. I became both parent and protector, teaching them values that betrayal had tried to overshadow: respect, integrity, and the importance of truth. Each day, their laughter, their small triumphs, reminded me that despite what I had endured, life could be rebuilt stronger and more focused than before. Looking back, I realized that true revenge isn't about humiliation or public spectacle. It's about reclaiming your dignity, controlling the aftermath, and protecting what matters most. By catching her in the act, documenting the betrayal, filing for divorce, and setting strict boundaries, I ensured that Laura felt the full impact of her decisions. And by remaining composed, I preserved my own integrity and peace of mind. Eventually, the home that had once been the scene of heartbreak became a sanctuary again, filled with the sound of my children's laughter rather than lies. Laura faded into the background of our lives, her attempts at reconciliation ignored, her influence nullified. She had underestimated the power of calm, decisive action, and the consequences of her choices became her own burden to bear. I had lost the illusion of a perfect marriage, but I gained clarity, control, and freedom. I learned that betrayal can be devastating, but how you respond can define your entire future. The instant I caught Laura cheating, I chose not to act out of blind anger, but to reclaim my life with precision. And in doing so, I found a sense of justice that was far more satisfying than any moment of rage could have been. The memory of that night, the sight of her and her lover on our couch, will never fully fade, but it no longer holds power over me. My revenge was instant, calculated, and absolute. It wasn't about hurting her physically, it was about taking back control, enforcing accountability, and protecting my family. And in the silence that followed her departure, I discovered something even stronger than vengeance: peace. Life moved forward. The children thrived, our routine stabilized, and I rebuilt a home founded on honesty rather than deceit. Laura's betrayal remains a lesson, a reminder of the consequences of selfish actions and of the resilience it takes to protect what truly matters. I had walked in on a nightmare, but I walked out with my dignity, my children, and my life intact. And that, in the end, was the most satisfying revenge of all.